Hello winos! Our topic for today is about wine making process. My name is Michael Perez. My passion is into wine and I love wine. I am not a wine expert, but I know something about it. So join me into the journey of winemaking. Winemaking is the intentional transformation of grape juice into wine through fermentation. We can consider the winemaking process as beginning with the decision of when to pick, known as the harvest. Factors in deciding when to pick includes the amount of sugar and acid in the grapes, the availability of tanks in the winery, and the impending weather. Grapes will then be transported in the winery, weigh them, and put them in the cold room. Sorting is done by hand or mechanically using equipment designed in removing unwanted materials. This process is known as sorting, desteaming, and crushing. For red wines, winemakers should decide whether to desteam grapes or ferment them as whole clusters and whether or not to deliberately crush the berries. Having whole berries will have a slight carbonic maceration effect, which will release strawberry, grassy, hay flavors. Red wines are fermented with the skin in contact with the juice, known as the must. At this point, I want to tell you that there is no single way in making wine. There are different ways and combination of techniques learned from experience and education. The next process is known as pressing. The fundamental difference between white wine making and red wine making is that with white wine, skins and seeds were separated with the juice before fermentation. For white wine, a bladder or pneumatic press is often used. It's a membrane that inflates from one side of this big tube like a can, pressing the grapes against the channeled screen, and the juice comes out from the press. White grapes can be whole bunch pressed, or they can be destemmed or crushed before pressing. The idea is to separate the skin, seeds, and stems to the juice. And if the winemaker wants more body and character, he might destem it, leave it with the skin for an hour or more to extract flavors from the skin. By definition, red wine is made by fermenting with the skin, seeds present. All of the colors in the red wine is extracted from the skin. Tannins and spice compounds comes from skins and the seeds. Age-worthy wines made from healthy grapes often spends more time with the skins, while lighter style wines may be pressed earlier. Once the fruit is processed, the juice or must is transferred to the fermentation vessel, which comes in a variety of sizes and may be made of stainless steel, wood, or concrete. In the case of white wine, a 225-liter small barrique is often used. For reds, stainless steel open-top fermenters or wood open-top fermenters is used. The size and material of the vessel impacts the temperature of fermentation. Many modern tanks are equipped with cooling jacket to provide more control. In primary fermentation, the sugar is converted into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Winemakers track its progress by measuring the Brix level and the density of the must. Yeast can come in a variety of strains. It can be a cultured yeast or an ambient yeast in the winery. Fermentation is carried out by the wine yeast known as Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is adapted to the conditions of high sugar and alcohol. Yeast requires oxygen and sufficient nutrients to thrive, otherwise reductive aromas can occur. Fermentation produces heat, and the range of temperature throughout the process can impact the flavor of the wine. Red wine fermentation may reach peak temperatures of 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, while white wine fermentation are cooler, especially in the case of aromatic wines. The physical contact of juice and skin is key to extraction. For red wines, this is manipulated through cap management. During fermentation, the skins were lifted up by the carbon dioxide that is being produced. So one thing winemaker wants to do is mix the cap to regulate the amount of temperature in the tank. During the fermentation, the cap is managed 1 to 3 times a day, with practices adapted to vintage and grape variety. It can be done by a pump over or a punch down, and you get more or less extraction depends on how you manage your cap. Once fermentation is complete, the new wine is drained off the skin. At this point, wine was already crafted. But to produce a better wine, techniques and various materials are employed during aging. This is known as the élevage. Élevage is the term used after fermentation and before bottling. Élevage includes regular tapping, stirring or batonnage, and malolactic fermentation. Malolactic fermentation is the secondary non-alcoholic fermentation that occurs in the barrel by converting the malic acid to lactic acid. Élevage also includes the use of different oaks. It can be American oak, French oak, or Slavonian oak. It also includes the toast level of the oak, as well as use or new oak barrel barrique. Stirring or batonnage increase contact with the lees, which are yeast cells and other solids from the wine. If the wine is aged in a small barrel, every time you open the wine vessel, you allow a small amount of air into the barrel. Hence, barrels should be topped up from time to time due to evaporation to avoid airspace in the barrel. Racking may take place at any time during élevage. Racking is when you take out one block of the wine into a tank, then you clean all the barrels, then you put back the wine in the same vessel or different barrel depending on the flavor you want. Blending may be done at any time during the élevage. Winemakers blend wines from different grape varieties, vineyard sites, or vintage to create a more complete and complex wine. While wine may benefit from a small amount of oxygen, for most wines, protection from oxidation is achieved by the addition of sulfur dioxide. Chilling, fining, filtrations are various stability phases in the winemaking. Filtration is removing sediments from wine or removing yeast and bacteria. Refining agents such as egg white and jelly may be used to improve the tannin structure, clarity, or aroma of a wine. And we come to the final step of winemaking, known as the bottling. Bottling is the final step a winemaker may influence the final quality of a wine. I hope you have learned something from this video. Don't forget to subscribe and like my channel